Hey, what's up guys? This is Jenny back again on my channel. I don't know why I keep saying that. I feel like at this point you guys might know that this is my channel, but I just like to reiterate it apparently. I know, you guys are so lucky you're getting a video like 2 in 1 week. What more could you ask for other than like $1 million, world peace, and probably a ride on Ryan Reynolds' back? But other than that, I'm going to be doing a review of a movie that came out pretty recently. I'm sure y'all have seen all the commercials for it because it's been on YouTube, cable, basically anywhere you look you see a commercial for this movie. They're trying to hype it up real hard, but honestly it kind of that one fell flat on its metaphorical face, and that movie would be called The Boy, starring Lauren Cohen, which was the main reason why I went to go see that movie, I'm gonna be honest, because it's Maggie from The Walking Dead. Like, you really can't go wrong there, but apparently you can. As you guys have probably seen in the commercials, it starts out with an older couple who have this son who happens to be a doll, which is pretty creepy. A lot of the times dolls in horror movies, they never bode well for just about anybody, and they're never pleasant looking dolls. Like, they're never like I take that back. Cabbage Patch Kids were probably the creepiest looking little doohickeys that I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, what actual child literally looks like that? Gotta pause it because my dog has to go outside. Woo! Actually, now that I think about it, why didn't they make like a horror movie about Sour Patch? Cabbage Patch Kids, or even like Furbies for that matter. They were both insanely creepy. Anyhoozle, so Lauren Cohen, who is the star of this movie, she comes to the UK to find a job to get away from her crazy ex-boyfriend, who just happens to be one of the stars of the show Vikings. So he's like this big hulking 6'30" dude that's got a nice beard. Got just 10 out of 10 beard, like most of the guys on that show do, honestly. But basically, she goes to the UK, gets this nannying job. She gets there, and they have that weird doll thing, and she's like, ha ha ha, and then they give her the, and that's when she realizes they're serious, and then she has to actually take the doll serious. They give her like this whole big list of things that she needs to do for the doll. And they're like, yep, we expect you to read to him, play him music, and she's just like, no, I'm gonna drink wine and make PB&J sandwiches, which is what she ends up doing when they leave, is making wine, drinking wine, and making PB&J sandwiches, which, I mean, is a pretty solid life decision if you're gonna be alone in a creepy house for an extended period of time with a doll that you're supposed to sing to and talk to and act like it's an actual child. But she, of course, disregards all these things and gets drunk and does other cool things like read magazines and do absolutely nothing. And of course, weird things start happening, like she threw a blanket over the doll, all of a sudden the blanket moves, all of a sudden its head's moved, and all those very cliche doll and horror movie things that you would expect to see in a movie like this. She goes on to start having these crazy nightmares where she's walking around the house in some silk nice nightie, but don't get me wrong, boys and gals, that you're not going to see boobs in this movie. It's PG-13 for a reason, and I know it's the girl from The Walking Dead, so you get like a fadey, like kind of blurred shower scene, so I mean there's that for you, but honestly, no boobs, sorry. But she's walking around like this silk nightie, and she goes up to this picture, and of course, just accompanied in these nightmares of just some really generic jump scares, you know, where everything, music is increasing, 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 and then silence. And they reach for something. And then, boom! The plot goes on, there's a few more characters introduced, like the grocery boy, who of course they have a slight love interest, but the doll's like, there ain't no getting down to business in my house, and of course interrupts every time that they try to do anything. So he's like the ultimate C block, essentially, or would it be D block, because it's like doll blocking. No, that's dumb. Disregard everything that I say. She never, of course, sees anything happen, or she doesn't necessarily watch him move, but she just walks in and sees all these things strewn about. It's just she comes into disaster zones. So she starts getting a little crazy and starts acting like, this is my child. Oh, I'm gonna start treating this doll like it's my kid. Please don't kill me. This grocery boy, like I was talking about, comes in and he kind of explains the story to her of how Brom, their son, died about 20 years ago in like this tragic fire, and they never really got over it, and all of a sudden this doll shows up, which is Totally, just, you know what, random doll after our son dies, come on in, let's just treat it like it is our son because that's so mentally stable. Um, and basically, he doesn't believe her because he's like, it's a doll, it doesn't move. These old cuckoos are crazy, so I don't know why you're getting all crazy too. And he's like, is the bang worth it? The answer's no. Take note. The answer is always no. She tries to get him to understand that the doll's alive and the doll's moving and everything, so they go through a bunch of trials, and she's like, oh, he's shy, he doesn't do it in front of people. So in the end, Twitter-pated grocery boy does end up believing her, and they kind of start to talk about the next course of action, what to do with the doll at this point, as they think it is a spirit inside the doll. And this is where the main character girl even goes a little bit more crazy and starts to talk about how she wants to stay with him and how she can't ever leave him and how she believes she was put there to protect him. But of course, then you gotta throw the wrench in the plot. So eventually, of course, her ex-husband ends up showing up, somehow finds her address in the UK, and flies out there and is being all abusive and crazy and bulky and super attractive. But that's beside the point because he's not supposed to be attractive in this movie. He's supposed to be douchey and awful. Basically, he shows up in the doll and he's like, girl, you've gone crazy, you need to come home with me, even though I'm super abusive, douchey, and jerky, you should probably just come home with me anyways. And she's like, no, I love this child, this porcelain doll of mine, and I think you are a douchey-at, so I don't think so. And he's like, oh, you want to go? And gets all douchey-atty. And, of course, the grocery man steps in, but it's too late at that point. The ex-husband takes the doll and just whoosh, eyeball pops out and everything, and of course it is just a doll. But, okay, by the way, I'm getting into some spoiler alerts because, I don't know. I didn't really like this movie, so I'm kind of going to go into more detail about it because, I mean, if you want to go see it, I'd stop the video now because you're welcome to make your own opinion about it. So I'm going to say a spoiler that will, in turn, kind of leak the entire plot to you, but this is why I'm giving you this forewarning. You got it? Did you hit pause? Are you still here? It's kind of quiet, I can't tell. I'm also speaking to a webcam, so that might also be why. Out of the wall comes the 22-year-old son who's lived in the walls this whole time, and the old people knew about it and all that good stuff, so they just took care of the doll anyways for this guy in the walls instead of actually taking care of their actual son, which they could have taken out of the walls and, you know, done the thing, but instead they opted to take care of the doll rather than the 22-year-old son living in their walls, probably malnourished and uneducated. But that's fine. They did them. They did what they wanted to do. Everything comes to a head, and there's just this epic like running around scene. People get hit in the head with shovels, and they're trying to escape this 20-some-year-old dude who has the voice of a small child, in the body of a grown man with a beard. And it's really kind of anticlimactic. Like the actual like running around and doing stuff was more like a brisk walking pace of trying to escape, but I don't know. It was just really anticlimactic for me. I felt like they had a really good premise there and they had a really good idea. And I don't know if you guys know the movie Homebound, but that was already an idea that they explored where someone was living in the walls and everyone thought it was like this malevolent spirit. And that movie was actually pretty funny. I don't know if they kind of were piggybacking off of that idea or if they thought that this was kind of some new and original idea. But overall, I felt the jump scares were pretty cheesy. I felt that they relied on the jump scares as opposed to any other kind of creepy factor. I mean, the doll is kind of creepy, but we've all seen dolls in horror movies, and we've all seen, you know, creepy dudes wearing masks. I felt like it was probably a good plot, or they could have had a good plot there, but a lot of the horror movies nowadays, they just kind of fall flat, and it's the same generic, like, need to use jump scares for actual scares, nothing really psychological about it, and it was just kind of laughable. Like, the guy literally sitting in the row in front of me and my friend Jake, like, was making comments that was making the movie absolutely hilarious. Like, I don't know who you were, but thank you very much for making that movie much more enjoyable than it actually was. But it was just laughable, and it's really unfortunate because I feel like a lot of horror movies nowadays just follow the exact same formula, or you know, they try either with shock value or with jump scares, and not even like surprising jump scares. It's just like you literally can do the countdown, like you're sitting there and you're just like, Alright. 3, 2, 1. Like you can literally almost count it. It's just so consistent with everything else that's out there nowadays. And I just felt like this movie just kind of fell in line with that. Now I'd be really interested to hear any of your guys' opinions, if any of you guys went and saw it, like what you thought of it, if you thought it was better than what I thought, if I'm being too harsh on it. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about it. So please leave a comment, let me know what you guys think or what you guys don't think or whatever. I don't know what kind of comment you'd leave if you guys don't think. It'd probably just be a bunch of blank spaces. I do believe it's still in theaters now. It's probably going out of theaters at this point, but I'm sure it'll be on Netflix and Hulu at some point. So totally up to you if you want to go watch it. Again, I did say some spoilers in there. I didn't give away like everything. There are obviously some other few key little plot things in there that I didn't go over because this video would be way too long for that. But yeah, that's about all I have to say about it. Unfortunately, wasn't really that good. So if you have anything to say, let me know. Please feel free, and I hope that you guys all have one hell of a week. Bye!